Greetings, all. I am Jarl Steve, and I am very happy to welcome you to the very first real episode of Mead Hall Musings. Now, I know I've been talking to quite a few of you who have been anxious to see the show because you've heard me talk about it a lot now, and I'm very happy that I finally get a chance to introduce you all to it. So the very first thing you need to do is go grab yourself a drink. I've got a very nice mead here from a company in Vermont called Groenfeld. A little bit fizzy, a little bit dry. It's not your typical sweet mead people are familiar with, but I like it. Skål. So, here we are, finally talking about Mead Hall Musings. So let's get started on what this is all about. First of all, I want to just give you a little parental advisory. This is an adult show and there will be adult language. I'm not going to sit here like a drunken sailor dropping F-bombs, but there will be occasional colorful language. The other thing I want to go through really quickly is the thing that, we'll get this out of the way right now because it's the least popular part about this. Go below, like the video, hit subscribe on the channel if you enjoy what you see and you want to continue watching. That's what drives views, and that's how I get this out there. If you are joining us for the first time and have found me by accident on YouTube, fantastic. If you're interested, I'll have the links below for the Facebook channel. And yes, there's a link down there for Patreon if anybody wants to support the channel, because the way I'm going to grow this is going to cost money. Just reality. So if we want to see some of the cool stuff I have planned, by all means, you can help me make that possible. All right, let's move on. So what's Mead Hall Musings? Mead Hall Musings is basically random knowledge. Let's break down what Mead Hall Musings means. What's a mead hall, first of all? Okay, I know there's a popular cultural vision of what a mead hall is. We all picture from TV or movies the Viking raiders gathering to celebrate their latest conquests and pillaging, drinking mead and feasting and, celebrating. And that's definitely part of what a mead hall is. But it's not the only thing they are. A mead hall, first and foremost, is a center of the society. And this is not something, and I'm going to hear screams about this, this is not something exclusive to Vikings. Sorry, folks, they don't own it. In fact, in most European and Scandinavian cultures, there was some form of a collective gathering place that societies used. And they weren't all, obviously, all called mead halls, but we'll continue to call them that from now on just to make things simple. And they're not exclusive to European and Scandinavian cultures. You find them in a variety of cultures. You find them in Arab cultures. You find them in Chinese cultures. Chinese, there's a region in China where they have these huge round houses that multi-generations live in, and they have a central gathering place for all the, all those cultural and society things. You see them in, African cultures. You see these central areas where people can gather and be together for celebrations and things like that. You see them in Native American cultures. There are a variety of, depending on tribes, of, central gathering points. And what might be a longhouse or a hall, could be outdoors. Many societies have these. And they were centers of not just celebrations. That was important, of course, the drinking and the feasting. Celebrating births, celebrating marriages, celebrating deaths. And in many cultures, yes, they celebrated deaths. You were going on to meet the gods. It was something exciting for them. There was more that went on there than just that. Usually it was a way for your local chieftain or jarl or king to keep in touch with his people, and that was important. There's no internet, there's no telephone, no TV. You couldn't just flip on, Viking C-SPAN and see what the jarl's got to say or what he's doing. You actually participated in that. So these were centers of the society itself where people gathered, and they were used for other things. They were used for the jarl or the chieftain to pass laws, to mediate disputes, to pass judgment. But they were also used for other things like The local lore master would recite the old tales. He would recite the new tales. These were very much people with oral traditions. So everything was passed on that way. So this was a place of learning, of education as well. And it was also a very important place for, like I said, the Jarl or the chieftain to be seen and see his people. In fact, in many cases, this was also the residence of that chieftain or Jarl or whatever. They lived there. So this was also, their home. So that's what mead halls were. And it is specifically the knowledge and the tales and the esoteric stuff that I'm choosing this as our studio. Now, what's musing? Musing's an easier one. The muses were Greek goddesses that were sent among the people to inspire them, to inspire scholars and playwrights and and musicians. The muses were there to give them inspiration. Musing is simply sitting there and thinking about things in your head. You're musing. The most common thing you could think of is shower thoughts, although we're not going to be doing anything in the shower because nobody wants to see that. So that's where Mead Hall Musings comes from. That's where I came up with this idea. Who am I? Well, I love a variety of things. I am something of a Renaissance man. You can look that up on your own, or we'll talk about it sometime. Who knows? I love collecting. I have a variety of collections. I enjoy history and random knowledge, and I like talking. You might be surprised to hear that. So what is this channel going to be about? It's going to be about a lot of those things. The long-form videos I plan to do are going to be, they're going to have various segments. One of them is going to be hopefully something called Collector's Corner, where we choose a collection of some type to talk about, or I'll bring out something that I collect to show off, and we'll talk about that. Might have some guests bringing their stuff in. I'm not the only person that collects things. Oh, and by the way, it's collecting, not hoarding. Let's be clear about that. Collections are serious things. Anyone can talk about hoarding. So, we might talk about this too. Who knows? I collect that. Okay, what else we got? I want to do a segment called This Day in History, where I choose whatever on the day I'm recording, something that happened. It's going to be completely random. I guarantee you it is not going to be something common. It's going to be weird. Some weird thing that happened that day in history. So you might hear some stuff you've never heard of before. And the third segment that I have in mind is something I want to call Origin Stories. No, I can hear you right now. Not superhero comic book origin stories. We've had enough. If you don't know where Batman came from by now, go watch one of the other movies. I'm sorry, that's not what I'm here to do. What kind of origin stories, though? How about that? Huh? Maybe the origin of this. Or how about the origins of these? Maybe the origin of this? Or this? Or even this? Yes, that's right. Origin stories are going to be the origin of common everyday things that you see, you use, and you might not know where they came from. That's going to be the interesting part right there. Who thinks about where a spoon came from? Who thinks about where a comb came from? I mean, we probably don't really want to think about what this came from. In fact, I think we may make this one of the first Mead Hall shorts. Yes, a word about Mead Hall shorts. No, not shorts in the Mead Hall. Nobody wants to see that either. And no, I will never wear a kilt. Something tells me that's not going to work out well anyways. But Mead Hall shows will be videos that I do in between the major videos. These may happen once or twice a week. And they'll be just things, I feel like talking about something, and I'm going to share it with you. I might be doing this. Or I might be sharing something new that I just got to collect. There's a variety of things that may go on there. So Mead Hall shorts will be a thing as well. So that's kind of a rundown of what this is going to be all about. And I hope you find that interesting. Tell you what. Let's talk about an origin. Why not? We got some time. Everybody knows what this is. In fact, if you don't have this in your home, that's kind of weird. This is a common everyday thing that everybody knows about. But the question, of course, is, where did it come from? What did you do before this? Let's talk about that. So we know that paper was used as early as the 2nd century by the Chinese. And we know this thanks to our wonderful traveling historians, the Arabs. An Arab historian visited China, and he found the Chinese wiping themselves with paper. And it surprised him because they weren't doing that. So we know that at about the 2nd century at least, probably before that, people were using paper of some kind to wipe. And this spreads beyond China, but it doesn't really spread to Western culture as quickly as you might think. We know commonplace usage of paper was about the 15th century for everybody else. In the Western cultures, not until about the 1800s did you see the common use of paper. So what did people do before paper? Well, people were obviously wiping from the moment the men started walking the earth. And obviously they hadn't invented paper yet. What did you use? This. In fact, here's a question for you. Have you ever noticed that even a left-handed person who will eat with their left hand, write with their left hand, do everything with their left hand, they will always offer you the right hand to shake? Why is that? It's because it's culturally ingrained in us now. And the reason is because one of the first things that you used to clean yourself was this. So it became almost insulting to use this for anything else. In fact, in many cultures, if you go and visit, there's certain cultures, if you go and visit them, they offer you the left hand, they're insulting you. I'm sorry, it's probably true. So the right hand is used for everything. And in cultures, especially cultures like that eat with their hands, and it's still common today, there are many cultures where eating with your hands is a common thing. You always eat with your right hand, and you always shake with your right hand, because this one, historically, was used for shitty business. So what else was used? Well, common things that were used were corn cobs and corn husks, acorns, and seashells. Yes, seashells. All right, I hear ya. I hear it right now. Yes, seashells. It's not part of some future movie from the 80s. Seashells were used. When did we stop? When did common use of toilet paper come around? Well, that's a good question right there. So a man named Joshua Gaiety invents what he called medicated paper in around 1853. Before that, the most common paper product that was used, especially in the United States, was the Sears catalog. Yes, that's right. You could get hundreds of sheets of free toilet paper in the form of a catalog. In fact, there was a vast outcry from people when in the 1930s, Sears switched to using glossy paper. Because now all of a sudden, I just lost my favorite source of toilet paper. I have to buy it. So the Sears catalog was really the first source of toilet paper for most people in the U.S. Now, when do we see the rolled toilet paper come around? Well, that's invented by a guy named Seth Wheeler in the 1890s, and we can solve a long ongoing argument about this just looking at his diagrams to get the patent for the rolled toilet paper. Which way does it go? This side out? Or that side out? Well, his diagrams clearly show it this way. So there you go. There's the answer of the age-old argument of which way it goes. If you put it this way, you're wrong. Sorry, Seth Wheeler told us. In fact, it's kind of odd. Apparently, Joshua Gady, when he first invented toilet paper, he was mocked and called a quack for his invention, because who would spend money on toilet paper? That was ridiculous. So there you go. There's an origin story. And I will talk about things like that. I'll talk about history stuff, the day in history. I am going to be clear about something. I am not a historian. I know a little about a lot, and a lot about a little. So yes, I'll overly simplify things. I mean, this story there's a lot more to it than I put in there. But I'm not a historian. So there you go, folks. That's an idea of what Mead Hall Musings is going to be about. And I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. There will be, hopefully, the Mead Hall on the Go videos where I do a little bit of traveling and perhaps show you that. The guest spots, I'm really hoping for those. There you go. So again, I want to welcome you all to Mead Hall Musings. I want to thank you for following me. Remember I'll have some links. If you discover the channel by accident, by all means, I'm going to have some links down below. One for Facebook, one for Patreon. And yes, if we want to see this grow and change, and the Patreon folks are the ones that are going to make that happen with their donations, their generosity. But once again, I ask you to go ahead and like. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like it. If you think you're going to like the channel, hit follow or subscribe. And look forward to some really good fun. I will be seeing you very shortly. Now that I've done this, I will be able to launch the Mead Hall shorts, and yes, you will see some of those within the next week. I promise you that, because I got some shit to talk about. That's what this is all about. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for continuing to follow. And I look forward to having a lot of fun with you guys. So until the next one, Jarl Steve says, Skull. So good.